The Trump imperialism train does not stop at Greenland. It has a new stop in the Indian Ocean, another landmass that Trump wants to control. It's called the Chagos Islands. And this is not just another flashpoint. This is a flashpoint that threatens America's relationship with its most important partner, the United Kingdom. First, let me pull up the map. The Chagos is a set of 60 islands. They are located in the central Indian Ocean. For decades, Mauritius had claimed these islands, but Britain controlled them. In 1814, Chagos and Mauritius had become British colonies.
Imagine, if you will, the scene inside number 10 Downing Street right now. The tea is being spat out, the curtains are being drawn, and Sir Keir Starmer is likely staring at his Truth Social notifications with the haunting realisation that he has just been trumped in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. Welcome back to the British Report, where today we are dissecting a diplomatic disaster so profound it makes a botched DIY project look like the Sistine Chapel. We are talking about the Chagos Islands, a tiny archipelago with a massive military footprint, which Keir Starmer decided to hand over to Mauritius in what can only be described as a clearance sale of British sovereignty. But just as the ink was drying on this controversial treaty, Donald J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States, has stepped into the arena with all the subtlety of a wrecking ball, branding the deal an act of great stupidity and a total surrender. And standing right there to lead the charge in the UK, none other than Nigel Farage, who is currently tearing Starmer apart for being the ultimate geopolitical weakling. Quick favour, if you are loving this breakdown of the madness in Westminster and Washington, hit that subscribe button and click the notifications bell icon. Over 92% of viewers haven't yet, which is a statistic more depressing than a rainy Monday in February. It is free, takes a second, and means the world to us. Thank you if you did. Now back to the show.
And third, it's not some huge sacrifice. The deal includes a 99-year lease on Diego Garcia. The UK will pay $130 million per year. In return, they get to use the military base on the island. So the UK government says it's a pretty good deal.
I don't think Britain should be embarrassed or humiliated at all, quite frankly. Diego Garcia, which is a small island that was part of the British Empire, was having its sovereignty challenged by the Mauritian government.
Let us get the facts on the table, shall we? For those of you who haven't been following the map of the Indian Ocean with a magnifying glass, the Chagos Islands, specifically Diego Garcia, are home to one of the most vital US-UK military bases on the planet. It is the unsinkable aircraft carrier used for everything from strikes in the Middle East to monitoring the rising influence of China. For decades, Britain held the keys, but Keir Starmer, in his infinite wisdom, decided that the best way to show British leadership in 2026 was to simply give them away. Under the deal signed in May 2025, sovereignty of the islands is handed to Mauritius, while the UK leases back Diego Garcia for 99 years at a whopping cost of £3.4 billion. Yes, you heard that correctly. We are paying billions of pounds for the privilege of staying on land we already owned. It is the diplomatic equivalent of selling your own house to a stranger and then paying them rent to live in the spare bedroom. Nigel Farage has been screaming from the rooftops that this was a strategic blunder of epic proportions, but until now the government dismissed him as a fringe voice. Well, that fringe voice just got a very loud megaphone from across the Atlantic. Enter Donald Trump. On Tuesday, January 20, 2026, just as he marks 1 year back in the White House, the president took to Truth Social to drop a tactical nuke on the special relationship. He didn't mince words. He called the Chagos deal shocking and accused our brilliant NATO ally, the United Kingdom, of giving away vital land for no reason whatsoever. But here is where it gets really spicy. Trump linked Starmer's total weakness on Chagos to his own controversial desire to acquire Greenland. He essentially said, if the UK is stupid enough to give away strategic islands for nothing, then why shouldn't the US acquire important land like Greenland to protect Western interests? It is a masterclass in Trumpian logic, using Starmer's perceived incompetence as a justification for his own expansionist ambitions. Trump pointed out that China and Russia are watching this act of total weakness with glee, and frankly, he is not wrong. When you signal to the world that you are willing to fold on sovereign territory because of a few non-binding international court rulings, you aren't leading, you are retreating. Nigel Farage didn't miss a beat. Within minutes of Trump's post, the Reform UK leader was on X, formerly Twitter, hailing the intervention. He said, "Thank goodness Trump has vetoed the surrender of the Chagos Islands. Now, technically, a US president cannot veto a British treaty, but in the world of realpolitik, Trump's disapproval is a death sentence for the deal's credibility." Farage blasted Starmer for lying to the British public and the Americans, claiming the UK was told we had no choice but to surrender. Farage's argument is simple. Starmer is a weakling who is more interested in being liked by international lawyers than in protecting British national security. He is tearing Starmer apart for being a Trump weakling, someone who tries to play the calm diplomat on Monday, only to be publicly humiliated by the world's most powerful man on Tuesday. Farage pointed out that the Americans have finally woken up to the fact that they were sold a pup by the Labour government. The anger in Washington is palpable, and Farage is positioning himself as the only British politician who actually understands the language of the new White House. The irony here is thicker than a London fog. Just 24 hours before Trump's outburst, Keir Starmer was standing at a podium in Downing Street, giving a calm and measured address about the Greenland crisis. He told the world that threatening tariffs on allies is the wrong thing to do and called for calm discussion. 15. He thought he was the adult in the room. He thought he could manage Trump with proper British diplomacy.
President Trump has lashed out at Britain on Truth Social, describing the decision to hand the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. He says that is great stupidity.
Well, it comes as the president says that Denmark cannot protect Greenland, as he repeats his demand for control over the Arctic territory.
We have to have it. They have to have this done. They can't protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders, they're very good people, but they don't even go there. And, you know, because the boat went there 500 years ago and then left, that doesn't give you title to property. So we'll be talking about it with the various people. We've had tremendous success, and I've done more for NATO than anybody else. I don't think you'd have NATO right now. I got them to go 5% and pay as opposed to 2% and not pay. I've done more than any other American president for NATO by far. And we'll see how that goes, but Greenland is very important.
Fast forward a few hours and Trump has essentially used Starmer's own policy as a punchline. By linking Chagos to Greenland, Trump has turned Starmer's principled decolonisation into a cautionary tale of great stupidity. It is an effortless bit of clever political manoeuvring from Trump that leaves Starmer looking like a student politician out of his depth. The Prime Minister's strategy of appeasement, trying to stay in Trump's good books while disagreeing on Greenland, has failed spectacularly. You cannot play nice guy with a president who values strength above all else, especially when you are busy handing over the keys to his favourite military base. The reaction from the government has been a mixture of panic and pure, unadulterated denial. Darren Jones, the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, was sent out to the media to insist that British diplomacy is working. He claimed Starmer is calm about being called stupid. Well, if this is what working looks like, I'd hate to see what a failure looks like. Jones tried to argue that the deal was already done and couldn't be changed. But in the world of 2026, where Trump is threatening tariffs and questioning the very foundations of NATO, done is a very relative term. The Labour frontbench is desperately clinging to the fact that the US State Department under the previous administration initially supported the deal. But as Farage rightly points out, that was before the America First crowd saw the bill and the security implications. Even Kemi Badenoch and the Conservatives have joined the fray, calling the deal complete self-sabotage. Starmer is trapped in a pincer movement, Farage and Trump on one side and a rejuvenated Tory opposition on the other. He is fighting a war on two fronts with a diplomatic shield made of wet cardboard. You might be wondering, why should I care about some islands thousands of miles away? Well, apart from the small matter of national security and the $3.4 billion of your tax money being handed over to Mauritius, there is the issue of global standing. When Britain looks weak, British interests suffer. If we cannot hold on to a vital military asset, why should anyone take our trade deals or our security guarantees seriously? Think of the Chagos Islands as the high-tech security system for your house. Keir Starmer has just decided to give that system to the neighbour, and now he is paying that neighbour a monthly fee to keep the cameras pointed at his own front door. Meanwhile, the biggest guy on the block, Trump, is standing on the sidewalk shouting that you're an idiot for doing it. It doesn't exactly make you look like the king of the castle, does it? It makes you look like the person everyone is going to try and bully next.
Unfortunately for the Prime Minister, Donald Trump is right on the Chagos deal. This is surrendering British territory with a strategic military base on it for no reason whatsoever. It weakens our country. It is not in the national interest. It is a good deal for China and Russia. And the worst part is we're paying £35 billion of reparations to give away territory which we bought in the 1960s. That is wrong. President Trump has made some decisions which I agree with and others which I disagree with. What matters is what is in the British national interest. If President Trump does something that is great for us in the UK, I will agree. If he does things which are not good for the UK, I will disagree. But the most important thing is British national interest.
The timing of this is perfect. The legislation to finalise the Chagos handover is due back in the House of Commons right now. With Trump's veto ringing in their ears, many Labour MPs are starting to look very nervous. Do they vote for a deal that the President of the United States, our most important ally, has called an act of great stupidity? Or do they risk a massive U-turn that would leave Starmer's authority in tatters? Nigel Farage is ready for the kill. He knows that every time Trump tweets, a Labour minister loses their wings. The Reform UK leader is gaining momentum because he is the only one who can say, "I told you so," in both English and American. This isn't just about a few islands anymore. It is about the very nature of British power in the 21st century. Are we a sovereign nation that protects its assets, or are we a weakling that folds under the slightest pressure from international committees? The suspense is building toward the next meeting between Starmer and Trump. If the Prime Minister thought he could navigate these waters with calm discussion, he is about to find out that the Atlantic is getting very, very choppy. Trump has no cards. Hardy, he just played the ace of spades and Starmer is left holding a pair of twos. Thank you for watching the British Report. If you want to keep up with the chaos as Farage continues to tear into the government and Trump keeps the truth bombs flying, make sure to like the video and let us know in the comments. Is Starmer a weakling or is Trump just being Trump? See you in the next one.